Hi, I'm Lily. The person I'm interviewing is my dad. I chose him to interview because he has a lot of experience with this topic at his work. In the article by Forbes, How to Disrupt the Denial of Inequality at Work, it discusses how women are valued and treated in work and ways to contribute to fixing this issue. The first question I have for you is, how do you feel gender discrimination manifests itself in the workforce?
Gender discrimination in the workforce is a real problem, Lily. It continues to grow because people continue to judge women on stereotypes instead of their skill set or their current accomplishments. People keep operating on their past beliefs, on past experiences, and don't take the time to make a current evaluation. Oftentimes, decisions are unfairly made because of a predetermined judgment that eliminates the woman from a fair consideration for a position.
My second question is, do you think implicit bias currently affects decision making and hiring?
Implicit bias definitely affects hiring. Hiring supervisors usually haven't been females from my experience. They tend to see the female candidates differently. They question their ability to do work in a way that a man could. It's part of the stigma that is associated with being a woman, unfortunately. For that same reason, the pay scale is not the same. People have been programmed to perceive a woman in a certain way. This is especially true with older generations.
What role does intersectionality play in understanding various discriminatory issues?
The business world has done a really good job, or I guess large companies have done a really good job in trying to address this issue. There's policies in place now where they try to prevent this from happening as much. It tries to make it somewhat of an illegal thing per se, but without it being illegal. But they try to make it so that everybody's based on their qualifications, on the criteria that they're being evaluated on. Not based on their genders. I've heard comments made from candidates before the interviews even began, just by looking at the resumes, just by knowing who they are, that were unacceptable. One of the comments I heard one time was that this candidate wouldn't be a good candidate because of their accent, because the position that they were interviewing for was a customer service based position that would be engaging with customers. They thought that this person, because of who they were and where they came from, wouldn't succeed because of their accent.
In what ways do you think social media portrayals contribute to societal prejudices?
I think social media is bad myself. I think it has a direct influence on society. It has a direct influence on our youth and even adults. This wasn't the case 20 years ago because it didn't really exist, even 10 years ago. But now social media is in our faces 24 hours a day. It knows what you look at, it knows what you like. And even if you look at something for a few seconds, it begins to feed you with those ideas and those types of videos. So it begins to think it knows you, and it's constantly feeding, the algorithm is constantly feeding your brain. So you end up not having an option but to watch those things because you get so entrenched in the videos. So yeah, it definitely has an influence.
Hate speech is still very prevalent in today's society. What do you think the impact of hate speech is on social cohesion?
This is just my opinion here, but I don't really feel that society as a whole thinks for itself a lot of the time. I think there's a big problem when it comes to society acting in a mob mentality. Most often, society follows what majority does. You see this happening in situations where someone's getting beat up, and there's crowds of people looking around, but nobody takes action because everybody is waiting for somebody else to take action. So in that scenario, everybody's following everybody else, just sitting around watching without taking any action. So when people take the podium with hate speech, it kind of fires up those people who don't do anything but have the similar views, and it just reinforces what they think are their correct values, that it's okay to talk that way. Hate speech continues to drive a wedge in society. There are those who wish to better the world, but then there are those who live in the past.
That's all the questions for today. Thank you.
You're welcome.